Hi. So, welcome everybody. It's a beautiful studio. Kim, thank you for having us, and Chris, thank you for making this happen. I got into cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, because I have a company. We help people get into cars with other people and move around. Specifically, it's events right now that we cater to, but we're looking at it so that tonight, if you were all going back to Strathcona and you needed a ride, you didn't know somebody in the room, we're looking at making it so that you could connect with them with your iPhone and get in their car and give them a little bit of money. The bottom line is there's a transactional component to that, and my company only takes 15% of the total. So the rider gives the driver like $2, we take 15% of that, which is 30 cents. As you know, credit card companies are really nice people, but their margins, like they'll take between 3 to 5%, 5% for like air miles cards, which everybody sort of uses right now, and stuff like that. And that's like 1/5 to 1/3 of my margin, my operating margin, and so that's a lot. So I got into Bitcoin. My developers mentioned Bitcoin a year ago, and I was like, guys, I don't have time for this right now. You do whatever you want, get the product together so we get some traction. And we'll talk about it when I'm ready to deal with it. So I got into it in August because I was like, I need to save some. I got to get on this transactional thing, right? So that's how I found Bitcoin. I went to the SFU Bitcoin Club, and they explained it to me, and that's what got me into it. So this is Bitcoin. What the F? What is Bitcoin really about? Well, for me, it's a clicker. I don't know if my clicker is working. Oh, there we go. So where we should be as people is we should be actually free. And we have to work because we have this thing called debt. And if we didn't have debt, we could theoretically lay around and read books and make love and write songs and stuff like that. But we have to work because we have debt. In Switzerland, as you can see, because they have a surplus, there's a chance that just for being Swiss, you could make about $3,000 a year. America could have had that option. They had a surplus going in 2000, 2001 when Bush came in. They went to war, that created debt. Debt creates, of course, slavery because you have to work. And, he accomplished his mission. Now America's in debt for a very long time. So we've got a new face on America. This is the coalition of the willing. All these countries went into Iraq with General Bush, and most of them are in debt as a result. The UK, serious debt. You can see Spain, Portugal, Italy, debt countries. Japan is dealing with debt as well. I think countries that went in are dealing with some serious debt problems. This is a new face of America. I love this lady. She's really smart. She's very attractive. But she typifies the generation that's coming up right now. They're highly resourceful. I love the kids. I cannot say enough about them. I love people that are senior to me and people of my own generation, but I love her age group because they've got no fear. And it's because of their spark and their energy that we have what we have right now. What we have here is the shame of our financial system. You can see credit cards. This is in Canada specifically. 800% growth in bank assets due to credit cards. This is really, really unfortunate. It's like taking a big slice of our pie just for dealing with payments. And so America, or North America, the world in general, we have a financial issue. If we can alleviate this sort of grab, we have a future. So Bitcoin, 4 pillars as just a basic catch-up here. It's it's very transparent way of doing business. For instance, if there was a department or a line item in the government, we could, as citizens, see where our money is going, theoretically, for road construction, for tearing up the road, that contractor got this much because the blockchain allows that sort of transparency. Frictionlessness, like I said, with the micropayments thing that I have to do with my company, it's very easy for me to move money from my wallet to your wallet, and it costs nearly nothing. That's another pillar. That's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is perfect scarcity. Bitcoin will only have 21 million units by the time it finishes its rollout, which is about 2040. So it's unlike cash, where you could pump out tons of it. It's scarce. That makes it more valuable, and it makes it a good store of value. And the 4th pillar is decentralization. Nobody really has control of the supply. which is very, very cool. We all kind of become the bank instead of one central clearinghouse. Click. So where did Bitcoin come from? Well, it's kind of interesting. It came from this pseudonym dude. But really, I always tell my friends, it's kind of like if your next door neighbor's daughter is hurt by some gentleman and he gets away with it. There are these guys called anonymous that kind of help everybody out when justice. See, there's a difference between law and justice, and often it's the law that's being served and not justice. So what I really like about Bitcoin, it's more of a justice scene instead of just a legal scene. And so I'm not a libertarian so much, but I do believe in justice in a very in a very true manner. There we go. Okay, so the one thing that's really interesting about the organic nature of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is it's mostly came from word of mouth. Anybody here that really got into it early got into it because a friend went, "Hey, did you hear about this?" And either the person clicked and went, "Yeah, you know what? That sounds pretty cool," or they didn't. The people that did kind of got in early, and that's one thing. That's how you know an organic thing is coming up, because you hear it through the word of mouth. You don't hear it through, a Kentucky Fried Chicken commercial. This is an indication of how it is becoming a real thing in our society. It's like it's being sanctioned now by government. This is the most beautiful quote, the most eloquent quote I've seen about Bitcoin coming from a super square scene. Is Mr. Senator Tom Carper's little phrase that you can all read there. It's completely eloquent, and when I read it, I was just like, oh my God, somebody from that scene's finally nailing it. And that's a really, 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 really good thing for us. Okay, so this is what I'm recommending as an individual. I tell my friends, I say, look guys, own one Bitcoin. Buy one. Spend $900, spend $600, whenever you get in, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But I think everybody should own one Bitcoin. It's like owning a vote in the future, and there are only 12 million available right now. We got a population of 7 billion. If you own one of them, you've got a major stake in that real estate. So I do recommend everybody owning one if they can. You put away one check, put away two checks, whatever it takes, get one. If you're a more risky kind of individual, I do recommend 150 RSP or 401k, which is what you could allow for like your risk-based assets, right? Your other two-fifths more for more solid sort of bondage stuff and bondage. So anyway, a bond-related sort of more solid assets, and the other 2/5 for more medium sort of risk assets. Volatility issue. We have a very interesting scene here in Bitcoin. You're all very aware of it. The volatility is crazy. In the last month, it's gone between 650 and 1,000, like a yo-yo. But what's interesting, the last 3 days, we found a floor at 750. We don't know if it's going to hold. We'll know in the next, actually probably tonight, in the next 3 days, we're going to know what happens. We're getting around 1,000 again, which is, you can see there the three 750s over on the far left. Massive volatility. We're going to see if we're going to go through that floor, but we are going to have a correction again soon. We usually do. I shouldn't say we're going to for sure, but because we never really know, because Bitcoin, like my friend Adam says, is the honey badger. Honey badger don't care. Whatever we think or we want to happen doesn't really matter. Bitcoin's got a mind of its own. It will eat snakes and eat honey and get stung and get bitten. It doesn't care. It's just going to go for it, right? So the volatility will be there until it stabilizes. And that's not going to happen until we all own one piece. Our challenges for Bitcoin in the near future are user friendliness is a big issue. Once grandma can figure it out and she sees value in it, she understands how to use it, we're on our way. Okay, we got another issue here. The snake oil salesman sort of thing. The multi-level marketing sort of take on things. Okay, this is an issue because everybody's like, whenever I mention it to somebody that's more conservative, and they're like, oh yeah, I almost got into Amway 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you didn't get into Amway 20 years ago. This is not a multi-level marketing thing. This is not a snake oil deal. There's some real value here for our society, for our financial sort of mechanism. The financial industry is a big part of what makes things work. It's very important that we have liquidity or fluidity in our transactions. We have to avoid these guys. It's very important to deal with the straight people because we don't want any problems. Apple is a major challenge for us right now. I love Apple. I love Steve Jobs. His whole lifestyle I can completely relate to as an individual. Unfortunately, something has really remarkably changed. The App Store iTunes policy is brutal. And I think that, if they don't make an adjustment soon, they're going to lose market share. They're losing me right now. I'll tell you right now. I'll stick with the desktops, but we know, all of us know, the future of computing is in the mobile world, and I think they're gonna take a big sting there. I'm going to Android like next for both tablet and for phone. Another issue here is Lars from Metallica. Okay, so I don't know if you all remember Napster. Lars, he's an issue. That's a joke. So if we can avoid those things that I mentioned before, Lars most specifically, we can avoid what's called the "it's all gone Pete Tonk" scenario. I do not want to look in your eyes, any of your eyes, in like a year, and we're just go, oh my God, that was such a disaster that happened last year with Bitcoin. Total social pariah, that whole vibe. That could happen. I mean, anything that's really had any real climate value in history has gone through the odyssey of story development, right? The arc, the character arc. And this probably might happen someday. We have to be prepared for it. That's why it's very important to keep the snake oil out of it. Work with Android, make it user-friendly for grandma, so that we don't have to take a hit socially or economically as a result of people making mistakes. The Silk Road issue, this is Dread Pirate Roberts here with his girlfriend, Andre the Giant. And, that whole Silk Road thing was probably one of the better things that happened for Bitcoin, as now everybody knows about it. I don't think that nefarious actions are really a bad thing for any story. I think we're past it now, but I think that what happened with Dread Pirate Roberts was really beautiful and good for us. Unfortunately, he crossed too many lines. I think the real opportunity is in retail. My friends all around the world that I've gone to university with, I went to public school with, and high school with, all want some Bitcoin. I'm on Facebook. I get bloop, 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 5 windows up, literally, like every hour. People ask me where they can get some. We're lucky in Vancouver to have the ATM. I think wholesale is a big thing. The exchanges. I'll get more into that next slide. Buy and hold. The cap gains is awesome. That's where I'm making my money right now. And other financial products possible, the offshoots will be like, basically, you'll be able to, once people are priced out of the market, it's $5,000 a Bitcoin, 10,000, 15, 25. You're going to be able to borrow someday to get a Bitcoin if you want one, because everybody's pretty much going to want one if it goes the way it could. Not so much opportunity, arbitrage, everybody talks about it. I haven't seen a formula yet that I really think works. I think cap gains that you make from holding are way more substantial. I'm making anywhere between 8 and 40% per week. The arbitrage, there's a cycle involved. I'm not going to get into it right now. It's complex, but moving money around between international borders and through banks, it takes a week sometimes for the cycle to occur. And it's usually only about a 10% turnaround, maximum 10 to 16 if you're lucky. I don't think it's worthwhile. Day trading, my friends, I got great friends in day trading. Amazing guys. I love them to death, and I love being around them. I make more medium long-term calls myself. I'm a Kirby guy. These guys like to watch it by point, and I watch them lose money and make money by the day. And honestly, I'm making more just by holding, and there's no stress. 3 main Canadian exchanges are CA Vertex. It's expensive, 1.5% per transaction. Volta Satoshi, love the branding. Love the branding for Volta Satoshi. They're 0.5. They're out of Toronto. I like them. They're okay too. They're easy to get into, but they only deal with U.S. funds. That's a drag. Because we got to do that currency exchange thing. We have a new one coming out here, Quadrica, out of Gastown. Amazing guy, Michael, friend of ours, and he'll be opening us up next week. 0% fee, because he sees what's happening in China and how it's blowing up. So very little friction coming. And this is Vancouver again. We are so fortunate to be here. Okay. Back to where I'm coming from here is I'm in the sharing economy. It was big news earlier this year. It's quiet now because the Bitcoin's blowing up and there's real disruptions happening in finance. But the sharing economy and cryptocurrency are going to get together probably like in April of next year is when it's going to really start happening. And there are going to be massive improvements in like efficiency, transportation, and accommodation, borrowing drills, sharing cell data plans on that SkyTrain. When you're low on data, you can tap into your neighbor here and give them a few millibits for a kilobyte or whatever, no matter where you are. It's going to be big in Africa. I'll be done in a second. So the major thing here is basically with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we're moving into a pure market scene between individuals. And that's what I think is really freaking beautiful here. Bitcoin, it's, we're on the rise. These cats here, Bitcoin Magazine, coolest cats in the world on the scene. They're behind dark wallet and all that. You know, they're trying to keep things really kind of anonymous, and they're into wallet mixing, which is another whole sort of presentation for some other day. And that's it, everybody. That's what I gotta say.